All right, good evening. I'm Lieutenant Ray Spencer. I'm the homicide lieutenant with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm out here this evening to brief you on a homicide investigation that we are conducting in the 5000 block of Sage Lynn Street, which is a residential neighborhood near the intersections of Boulder Highway and Tropicana. I stress the details that I'm sharing right now are very preliminary, but around 5 p.m. tonight, Metro Police responded on report of a male who had been shot inside of the residence directly behind me. Patrol officers arrived and they observed a male who was deceased inside the doorway. The original details that we were provided is that the suspect, who was believed to be the son of the deceased, was potentially inside the residence. That prompted officers to try to get him to exit, and at that point, notification was made to our SWAT team, who responded. Metro SWAT officers cleared the residence and discovered that there was no one else inside the house other than the deceased male. The deceased male is a black male in his mid-60s, and at this point, we believe our suspect is going to be his son, who is a black male in his early 30s. What we've learned up till this point is that the suspect lives in the house behind me by himself. Apparently yesterday, he was having some emotional distress and called his family. His father flew out here from Northern California yesterday afternoon. Late yesterday afternoon, the family tried to get a hold of the father, and he did not answer his phone, and they could not reach the son either. That prompted the mother and another son to fly to Las Vegas to check on both of them. That is when tonight the mother and the son came to the residence, and that's when they discovered the body of the victim laying inside the house. So again, at this point, it is still a very active investigation. Our suspect, again, is believed to be a 30-year-old black male who is the son of the deceased, and we are trying to locate him at this point. So anybody who does have any information, I please ask you to reach out to Crime Stoppers. Your information is completely anonymous, and there's also reward money available. So with that, I'll take a couple questions if you have them.
So why didn't police enter the house first before the family went inside?
So the original details that were provided, there were some details that could not be corroborated, which ended up being false information that was originally provided. So the officers attempted to validate that information and were not able to validate it. At that point, that's why officers did not enter the residence when they first came on the original call.
Any indication how the victim died?
Right now, there's the original belief is that it's going to be potentially from gunshots. However, we have not verified that. We're in the process of obtaining a search warrant so we can get inside the residence, and the coroner will make that determination. But there is some evidence that does show that gunshots were fired inside the house.
Can I get a clarification on the timeline here? Neighbors are saying that police first responded to this neighborhood like 3:30 today, and then
Correct.
Metro completely left the area, and then around 5 o'clock, the family entered the home and they found the male deceased, and they believe that that male had been there for some time.
So the information that was provided originally to the officers when the family got here, there was some information that we have learned was not factual. So that information was provided to officers. Officers attempted to look inside the residence to validate some of the information that they were provided. When they could not do that, there was no exigency that the patrol officers were able to make at that time to enter the house. It is after the officers left when the family entered the house and actually discovered the victim inside the house.
Do we know if the suspect drove off, walked off, any car people should be looking for?
We're trying to find that out right now. There's still, like I said, a lot of moving parts. His vehicle is still at the residence, so we're still trying to figure out how he left the residence.
Is the family saying that he had a history of mental distress, mental illness?
The family is stating that there is a potential mental illness issue. I don't know if he's been diagnosed with any mental illness, but according to the family, he does have some mental problems.
Do you have a description of the suspect other than guy in 30?
Again, right now, until we can complete the investigation and get in and execute the search warrant, I'll just leave it with a black male in his early 30s.
Do you believe the victim was killed today or possibly yesterday? Do you have any sort of timeline on that?
Until we can actually get inside the house and the coroner can examine the body, that's going to be our next step. So we don't know.
When he arrived from that flight from Northern California into Vegas, do you have a timeline on like when he actually
So we know he arrived yesterday. So, and again, listening to the family, after, I believe it was 3 p.m. yesterday is when they last heard from him. So we don't have a specific timeline after that. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.